Hey everybody, and welcome to element 14 of the Shadow course within Ascended Worlds Wonderland. Today is acceptance. We're going to talk about acceptance and we're going to start with a definition. So the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. So that means allowing. I like that. The action or process of being received as adequate or suitable. Ooh, I think that screams judgment to me right there. You're judged acceptable. That really pulls both elements in nicely. What I like to think of when I'm looking at the shadow aspect of acceptance, I think that we all pretty much understand that, oh, well, it's nice to go along to get along. It's that, how can that be the shadow aspect? But I do sometimes think of, when you're trying to plan something with somebody, like for instance, to meet for a meal, and it's like, well, where would you like to go? Oh, anywhere's fine with me. Well, that's not really helpful. I don't find that very helpful. I would, if I didn't want to know, I wouldn't have asked. And I find myself doing it, and then realize, oh, I hate it when people do that to me. So why did I just do that? And I really think of it as, and I think I've labeled it in my own mind passive aggressive, to where it's like overly acceptable. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Oh, anything is just fine. Well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful in coming to a joint decision about an activity to do together. To me, the epitome of that is like children, when you go to pick them up and they just go completely limp. It's like they're in complete acceptance, and it's the epitome of, I'm going to be so agreeable and acceptable that it's going to be hard for you. And I think that's a big shadow aspect. And I think when we look at the prompts, I think that there's times when people love to be overly agreeable, overly in acceptance, because they don't want to accept responsibility. So that's their way of saying, oh, I'll do whatever you say, as long as you make the decision, as long as you do the work, as long as it's, as long as the burden for the decision falls on you. And then there are those that are like, no, I'm going to be contrarian. I'm not going to accept anything. And that's all of these are facets of this whole judgment and acceptance sandwich, whatever you want to call it, coin. It's just such a dynamic that and when you think about terms like, well, I accept the judgment, or I judge your acceptance. I mean, it's that play on words that really go, oh yeah, I see how this is both aspects in both sides of the coin. And it makes it to where there's really no absolute. And it gets back to what I say, that everything goes through the individual filter and is sent that way and received by someone else with their own version of that filter, and it's all relative. And once you start accepting this, there's the word, once you start seeing this within those constraints or without those constraints, it really changes this whole dynamic, to where once you come to that place of looking at it from that expanded perspective, things are just so different, and you have a different vantage point of where you accumulate your guidance from, what you factor in, what you don't factor in. It's so much clearer once you start identifying the shadow aspect of the light and the light aspects of the shadow, that it becomes second nature to just see things more for as they are, and leave those judgments and those acceptances out, and say, I just want to be an observation of all this. And I think as you go through and do the prompts in your workbook after this, you'll be able to get a better feel when you start applying it to circumstances and situations where you've been in acceptance or been in judgment, and you can kind of see, oh, well, in this case it was this, but in this case it was this, and I see how that may have worked with an agenda or a need to manipulate or a need to pawn off responsibility or a need to be overly responsible, and how those were used as tools for yourself. Like I've said in so many cases, pretty much every element I've done is that all of these are tools that go in your toolbox, and once you see them for what they are, it's easier to start identifying with where you're unconsciously still in a behavior that you may want to take a closer look at. So, and I think in doing this clearing, you'll come up with a different picture of what you see acceptance is. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and read our clearing statement. Oh, yes. I remember and accept all aspects of acceptance as perfect and part of the whole picture of my divine creation. I now allow this to holographically come together in completion and resolution with ease and flow, flow and gratitude for the lessons it has provided me and are now complete. So let's go ahead and sit back, close our eyes and take that nice deep breath. Go ahead. Oh, step into wholeness, connect in. We're outside of space and time now. And set your intention within this oneness to allow the vibration of the statement, the clearing statement I just read, to be your truth, a place where you reside and create from. All right. Another deep breath. Mm. What I saw when I was out there with this one was really interesting. It's very much a question of once you move to that expanded perspective of both the judgment and acceptance, is it comes to a place of non-duality in this situation, that things just are, and that there's no need to categorize them as acceptable or not acceptable. And so there's no need for the judgment. And it was such a beautiful place and such a comforting vibration. Yeah, really found myself not wanting to come back from there. So let's go for the post-video affirmation. I acknowledge and accept all aspects of acceptance as perfect and part of the whole picture of my divine creation with ease, joy, and love. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do some journaling on that and all the places where acceptance has been creeping in, particularly the shadow aspects. So thanks so much for joining us. And Angela will be bringing you the next two, which I believe are envy and jealousy and benevolence. Awesome. So we will see you on the next element. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.